All right. Good evening. Welcome to the governing body meeting of January 13th. I will call this meeting to order. And with that, I will ask everyone to turn their attention to Councilwoman Ortiz, who will lead us in the invocation. Please stand if you are able.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, I will be introducing my sister in Christ, Paula, if she'll come to the podium. Paula Johnson is a member of Mount Carmel Missionary Baptist Church at 6th and Lime, and has been there a member since in the womb. I wanted to say that. She says the Lord gets the credit for everything she does, and she doesn't want to take anything away from him. She was a valedictorian, straight A's at Highland Park High School. I won't hold that against her since I'm a Trojan, but and she also attended with Councilman Emerson. They both played the tuba. She went to the University of Kansas and she received a BA, and she's prayerfully seeking how and where to go to graduate for medical school, would like to learn how to fish, grow a successful vegetable garden, and learn more about the rules of the NFL. She does have a green thumb because our flowers in our neighborhood always look so awesome. So I can't believe that she doesn't know how to do a garden, but I don't have a green thumb, so I would like to introduce to you my sister in Christ, Paula Johnson.
Our sweet Heavenly Father, our sweet Savior, Jesus Christ, our sweet Holy Spirit, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. In you we live and move and have our being. Lord, I lift up our city to you and these your city council. Bless and keep each and every single one of them. Give them courage, wisdom, and strength to do what is pleasing in your sight. Lord, I pray for everyone in this room, everyone watching online or by other means. Encourage their hearts, strengthen their being, help them to feel your immeasurable love for them, and bless them with your salvation. Lord, I love you. Thank you for going up and beyond what I can even imagine. In the name of Jesus and by his authority, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, clerk, if you would read the roll call.
Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Council members Hiller.
Here.
Valdivia Acala. Ortiz.
Here.
Banks.
Here.
Kell.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Bradbury.
Here.
And Hofer.
Here.
Okay. So we have 8 present. Sorry.
All right. On to the next item, consent agenda.
Okay. Agenda items A and B are ordinances introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez allowing and approving city expenditures for the period of September 27 to October 31 and November 1 to November 28, 25, and enumerating said expenditures therein. C is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez granting MCI Metro Access Transmission Services, LLC, doing business as Verizon Access Transmission Services and contract franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications system in the city of Topeka, Kansas. D is approval of a professional services contract between the city of Topeka and Griffith & Blair Commercial, LLC, doing business as Caldwell Banker Commercial for the marketing and sale of city-owned properties. E are minutes of the regular meeting of January 6, 2026, and there are no applications.
All right. Clerk would take the roll, please. Take the vote.
Need a motion, please.
Oh, yes, a motion. That'd be good. No one's giving me it. There we go. All right, motion by Councilmember Kell, second by Councilmember Banks. Now you can take a vote. Still got to learn how to read this.
All right. Okay, and Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Hiller?
Not taking it. I'm sorry. Yes.
There we go. Okay. All right, we have 8 yes. The motion carries.
Alright. We will move on to item number 3, action items. A, Clerk will read.
A is an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez, amending the district map referred to and made part of the zoning ordinances by Section 1850-050 of the Topeka Municipal Code on property located at 2012 Southwest 10th Avenue from C2 Commercial District to PUD Plan Unit Development District, limited C2 Commercial District uses, plus 1 to 2 residential dwelling units on the ground floor.
Alright, City Manager.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the governing body, Dan Warner, our Planning and Division Director, will lead us through this item.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor, governing body. So this case is a rezoning to accommodate a reuse of an existing building for commercial and/or residential uses. The zoning will permit a mix of limited commercial uses that are more appropriate for that building and the size of that property, and 1 or 2 dwelling units. So the zoning will approve mixed use for that property. The building has been converted from a storefront, a retail storefront, to a residence, and there's a possibility for a live-work unit. Property is located in the historic Old Town neighborhood along 10th Street there. So the applicant had a neighborhood information meeting where he answered questions about the project. Planning Commission unanimously approved the rezoning at their December meeting. Shamika King Sims, who's the president of Old Town, spoke in favor of the zoning change at that meeting. Staff recommends approval and would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the governing body? Councilmember Ortiz.
Oh, David?
Okay, or Councilmember Banks. Oh, you made the motion, okay. Councilmember Ortiz, yes.
Oh, Dan, help me, where's this at again?
So the address is 2012 Southwest 10th, so it's along 10th Avenue. It's a little bit to the west of the medical district. That's right there along 10th Street. So it's in that part of the Old Town neighborhood that has all those bungalows. So again, it's just a little farther west of the medical district.
Okay. Is that is that Stormont Vale? On the map?
I think that's AutoZone and,
Oh, okay, so can you tell me what 2 streets is between? Is it Jewel and,
it's between Jewel and Lindenwood.
okay, gotcha, I'm with you, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
my
Councilmember
board
Heller.
isn't working. I would
Board's
like
not
to
working,
second
all
it.
right. Okay.
It's my district, and I particularly appreciate the work and that the owner as well as the NIA did on that.
All right, any other questions before I read a statement here? All right, this is one of those where ex parte communication is required. So prior to proceeding with the vote, each member of the governing body who has engaged in ex parte communication with any individual, either in favor of or against the matter being considered, must state the communication occurred and indicate that even in light of having engaged in the communication, they were able to fairly, objectively, and impartially consider the measure based only upon the evidence provided on the record. The record includes the Planning Commission minutes, the staff report and its attachments, the public comments made during the Planning Commission hearing, and similar relevant information related to the matter. Anyone need to disclose ex parte communication? All right. Well, with that, we have a motion from Councilmember Banks and a second from Councilmember Hiller. So I think we can take a vote.
Councilmember Hiller? Councilmember Miller?
Yes, I heard Hiller, I'm sorry.
I did say Hiller, it's okay, she's working on it. There we go.
You may have to just.
Okay. All right, we have 8 yes, the motion carries.
All right, thank you. We will move on to item B. The clerk will read.
B is discussion with possible action of an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez concerning the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging, amending and repealing Section 2.205080.
All right. City Manager.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the governing body, Brandy Roy Bachman, our senior attorney, will lead us through this item.
Thank you. This is an ordinance requesting removal of language regarding the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging. This language, or this was included in the code because it used to be 2 members needed to be appointed by the mayor of the city of Topeka to the council. However, the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging has amended their bylaws, and they no longer require the mayor to appoint any members to this council, so there is no longer any need to have this language in our municipal code. And so we would request that this ordinance be approved by City Council.
Any comments or questions from the governing body? No? No? All right, do I have a motion? Maybe Councilmember Hiller's trying over there?
I can.
I've got a
fine.
motion from Councilmember Kell and a second from Councilmember Bradbury. Anything else he wants to say before we take a vote? All right, clerk, please take a vote.
Okay, Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Hiller?
I was able to vote.
All right, very good.
Training.
Okay, and then the mayor does
Do
not
you need me
vote.
to hit abstain when I don't
You
vote?
can.
Okay.
That's
That'll
fine.
go.
Yep. Okay, so we have 7 yes, the motion carries.
All right, we'll move on to action item C. If the clerk will read, please.
C is discussion with possible action of an ordinance introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez, establishing a fee schedule and certain fees by adding in sections 305060, 560010, and 1440055, and amending the sections as listed on the agenda of the Topeka Municipal Code, and repealing original sections and repealing section 10.10050 in its entirety.
All right, City Manager.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the governing body, Josh McInerney, our Budget and Finance Division Director, will lead us through this item. Before I turn over to Josh, I just want to say a couple of things on this, on these 2 items, C and D. Essentially, as noted here in the agenda, these are fees that were adopted, fee adjustments that were adopted through the FY 2026 budget process. We started discussing these fees with the Policy and Finance Committee back in March of last year, provided the information to council as we were going through the budget process. And then I believe, Josh, these equated to about $200,000 worth of.
So our initial estimate was 150 to 200,000, just depending on the supply and demand of price fluctuation.
So essentially, the rates that were established within the FY 2026 budget is what's reflected here, and what we're trying to do here is codify everything through one ordinance and one resolution. My hope is in the future, and this is my bad that we didn't get to it as during the budget process, but my hope is that we, if not with the budget, shortly thereafter, we're able to come back to council with any future fee adjustments. And again, this being the first time we did this, it took a little bit longer than what we'd want to, but essentially what we're asking for is this codification of the rates and fees that we adopted through the FY 2026 budget. With that, I'll turn it over to Josh.
Yeah, so just this first item, item C, is just putting all the fees in a comprehensive document. Enterprise funds, not including those are kind of handled through a separate process. Enterprise funds being water, stormwater, wastewater, and the parking fund. Now, as you can see, like in the agenda, there was a lot of codes that we had to amend, move out, whatever, all into one. So I want to thank Brandy Roy Bachman and Bonnie Williams for working hard to track some of those resolutions down to combine it all to one, because it was a lengthy process. But just this first document, it's not necessarily approving the fees, it's just approving them to be all under one document. That way, like the city manager said, we can review on an annual basis, and it's a fluid document that we can change at any time.
All right, we have one individual, signed up for public comment, so we'll go ahead and take that first before we begin our discussion, and that individual is Danielle Twemlow.
you. I'm here tonight to speak plainly about a pattern that too many residents are feeling, but really see reflected in our votes. The city continues to increase the fees on people who live here, while fees and expectations are placed on developers largely remain untouched. That's not fiscally responsible, and it's a value choice. So every budget cycle, residents are asked to pay more while being told that this is necessary for stability, growth, and infrastructure. Yet during that same time, there's been little to no serious public conversation about reworking developer incentives to ensure they contribute meaningfully to affordable housing, workforce stability, or long-term community well-being. Let alone many changes in this fee schedule don't reflect any added fees or increase in a lot of the developer costs. We cannot keep balancing the city's financial stress on the backs of households already stretched thin, especially when development incentives remain generous and disconnected from community outcomes. Let's be clear that people are economic development, not just the buildings or the ribbon cuttings, not speculative growth models. A city cannot grow its way out of instability by subsidizing development while disinvesting in the people who make this place function: the workers, the families, the seniors, the renters, and the small homeowners. Affordable housing funding streams are not being meaningfully integrated into development agreements. Workforce retention, housing stabilization, and community resilience are rarely treated as required returns on public investment. Human infrastructure is treated as optional instead of necessary with our tax dollars. That's a policy choice. At the same time, residents are facing a push on code violations when residential burn fees are now added. This combination is counterproductive. You cannot claim to care about thriving communities while increasing punitive costs on people trying to maintain them. Compliance costs without support do not create better neighborhoods. They create displacement. What's missing here is rebalancing. We haven't seen development incentives redesigned to include dedicated affordable housing streams, the contributions to housing stabilization or rental assistance, investment in that workforce retention tied to local wages, clear enforceable community benefit requirements, or developers paying their fair share of any costs. They are making money, after all. I do, however, am thankful that going down that stream, that I did not see an increase in fees from the Topeka Police Department for families who want to view body-worn camera. That is one step towards the transparency and accessibility that the community has been asking for. We're very hopeful that this is in alignment with the anticipated release of body-worn camera footage. So I was really thankful to see that not increased within that schedule. But until this council shifts from catering to developers and starts investing in people as the primary economic engine, no amount of new construction will solve our affordability crisis, our workforce challenges, or our long-term fiscal health. I urge you to pause the continual escalation of these fees, reassess development incentives with equity and accountability at the center, and look for avenues that haven't been utilized before, such as redirecting GTP money and other public dollars to strengthening human infrastructure, not just concrete. Because a city that prices out its people is not growing, it's hollowing itself out instead. Thank you.
Thank you. Then one request of staff before we begin this discussion, because items C and D are kind of similar but look a little different. Before we discuss it and if we take votes, will you explain to us what the difference is between these two actions? Whether it's the clerk, the lawyer, Josh, city manager, whoever wants to do that.
Oh, so the first action is just establishing that we have an all comprehensive document. So it doesn't necessarily, if something changed from $25 to $26, that's not approved. That's approved in item D. So think of D as price, and then think of C as just getting it all in one document. That way we can review it on an annual basis.
Okay, so this first discussion.
Or a more frequent basis.
Right, so this first discussion is whether we all want it in one document and ordinance, and then if we want to make any adjustments, we can have that, reserve that for item D.
Correct.
Okay, so I want to make sure we all understand what we're doing here. All right, any, Councilmember Ortiz?
Well, having said that, I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Hiller.
Sorry, I can't push the buttons here. I found this challenging, and also had conversations with people from my district, just because we had NIA meetings last night, and people have various concerns. Wherever they fit between these two items, here's my overall thought. I don't think it's wise for us to move to eliminate the mention of the fees in the ordinances that describe what the fee is for. I think it's important I'm a strong believer that the laws are for people to read and understand themselves, and by not, what people ran into was if you were looking at the ordinance, you didn't know what the fee was, you wouldn't know what the fee was, but people who were looking at the fees were doing the best they could with the little one-liner to figure out what it was for, and they weren't correct. They were trying to guess and stressing about it, and I just don't think there's a reason to separate the two. I understand the convenience for the staff for an annual review to have a single list, but with AI anymore, I would think that that the staff could stack them, all of them, including the ones from the utilities, and just look at all of them annually and see if they want some changes and bring them back to us. I just don't think we need to make a separate ordinance just for the list and correspondingly pull them out. So wherever that fits in the votes, I also was very concerned the resolution that I thought was with D had a very broad statement in it that just said, and anything that this relates to, is automatically deleted from the ordinance or resolution it came from. They weren't identified, and that's just not a safe way to do those sorts of things. Overall, I'm comfortable with the fee changes with the one exception of the burn ordinance. We are about to up the requests about vegetation. I've ended up hearing from citizens as well as having conversations with fire, and I think there's pretty good consensus that we don't want to get in the way of people being able to burn their brush, especially this first couple of years anyway. So I can support when the time comes, I can support the list with the exception of the new $25 annual burn fee. So if there's questions of me or discussion, I'm open. That's what I see for it.
All right, Councilmember Kell.
I do like that it is a comprehensive list, and maybe we can figure out a way of, I'm trying to pull it up, and it's not one to pull up right offhand, about linking from the ordinance to the fee schedule, because I saw that Nick's example, it says, we'll see fee schedule, and we could maybe put like number 7, and then you go to the fee schedule, and it's number 7 on the fee schedule, to kind of keep it going that way. It's nice where people can go and look and see what there is a possible fee for, because a lot of people get snuck up on when it comes to some of these fees and things like that, so they can just go down the fee schedule rather than trying to read 40 or 50 ordinances to try to figure out, do I have to do this, do I have not to do this? We have so much out there when it comes to the ordinances to try to find stuff that, this to me is a simplified version that they can look at, look what's going on, and if they might have some project that might 3 or 4 things fall under, they can now look and say, okay, boom, here's my estimated cost that I'm thinking might cost me. And then they can go to the ordinance, which we also link the ordinance to the fee schedule itself. So we have those, number linking scenarios where on the ordinance, it's got the number towards the fee schedule, and then on the fee schedule, it's got the ordinance number, so they can go look and kind of bounce it off each other. But I think it's a lot better this way than trying to have to search 40, 50 ordinances to try to figure out what you're going to have to pay, and maybe get yourself caught up in that, where at least you have one set document that lists everything out.
Mayor?
First, Councilmember Bradbury. I'll get to you, Councilmember.
I just have a question. Had there been any concerns brought up about how it is currently?
No, but there hasn't been brought up any concerns to me in the finance department, but that doesn't necessarily, just because there's not concerns said to me, that doesn't necessarily mean there's not concerns in general. But I haven't heard anything elsewise.
So changing would be just kind of a matter of efficiency?
Yeah, a matter of efficiency, and I know other cities do it this way. Now, that's not to say we should necessarily follow what other cities do, but it's not an unheard of practice.
Councilmember Hiller.
I'm fine with having a fee schedule. I just don't think we need to pull all the rates out of the ordinances to do it. We just make one, and that's how we use that to communicate. I don't think we have to pull the rates out of the descriptions of what they're for and put them separately in a fee schedule. We just print the fee schedule and leave it the way it is.
So Josh, or maybe this is for city attorney, if we make this change and the other ordinances that we're essentially deleting, right? I mean, we're essentially taking this action, deletes those and moves it all into this one new ordinance, which is fine. Are there definitions in those current ordinances that we will lose because or are we transporting them over and they will now be part of this new ordinance? Because if they're part of this new ordinance, then we retain all the definitions and we've moved everything that's in all these other areas into truly one document. If we're just doing a fee schedule that's just a list, I can understand some reticence of we're giving up all our definitions and explanations that are currently in the ordinances.
So, and I'll start with this, and then Josh or Brandy can correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe what this first ordinance does is it goes through all these ordinances that list fees, and it simply removes those individual fee amounts, and it says, please see the fee schedule.
Okay.
And then the resolution would approve the fee schedule, and that would be the list of fees. So it's, I don't know about definitions themselves changing, but I think it's just a striking of the mention of particular fees in those ordinances.
Okay.
We retained all the definitions within the ordinances. Literally, as City Attorney just said, we just took out the actual fee amount, struck that from the language of the ordinance, and said, see the prescribed fee schedule.
So then my next question, which is the worst part of doing this, is the reverse. If I look at this fee schedule, and I couldn't tell if it was in there in the ordinance, so I apologize. Does it refer to the ordinance that each fee, so in other words, if I'm looking at the fee schedule and I want to go to the ordinance, is it going to be very easy for me to look at this new fee schedule and then be able to search for the ordinance via each fee?
So if you look at the fee schedule, it's divided by department, and then it's, I believe, alphabetical. And the very last section actually has the code that regards that fee. So if you wanted to look up, commercial building permit fee, you would go to code 14.20.060.
Okay, and that's kind of how I read it, but I wanted to make sure I was reading it the right way as I was looking at the ordinance. So I think, I guess, that makes me feel a little more comfortable because at least it's all cross-referenced among each other and people should be able to find it. But I don't get to vote on this, so.
Oh.
Yes, Councilmember Heller.
One more thing that I forgot in my list. There's language in that ordinance that says the governing body should go through the entire list once a year. We've been adding an awful lot of stuff to our plate. I've got no problem with the staff reviewing it once a year, but I'd just as soon to have them just bring me the list and tell me what they want to change, rather than us having to do a deep dive.
Why did we put that in there? I mean, usually we haven't traditionally reviewed fees unless one of us have come forward or staff has come to us and said, it's been 20 years, we need to review this fee.
Every year might be a little bit aggressive, but I think the thought is if we make change ones, we would denote those changes and solicit feedback at the committee level. But I wouldn't give you a full list of, hey, here's the list, review it. It just, here's what's changed. Maybe it's 2 or 3. Not saying we would change 2 or 3, but that would be the plan going forward. Okay. And obviously open to feedback on that plan if that's not a good route to take.
Okay.
I think it says that the governing body is supposed to review the entire list. I thought, I did print it, but I don't think I have it, so apologies for that.
You know where that's at?
So it does in the resolution, section 2.
Yep.
The equity and sufficiency of the fees and charges shall be reviewed annually by the governing body.
Right.
And essentially, the fee schedule is adopted by resolution. The governing body, any changes would have to go through the governing body to be.
Of course.
So that's, I think, is what that means is if you're going to change a fee in the fee schedule, it's going to have to be done by resolution and it's going to have to be done by the whole governing body.
my point is that, even when we talked about the council rules, when we talked about reviewing them once a year, we decided not to, but to do periodic reviews and so on.
I apologize. I still don't see where that's at in section 2. What line?
Line 20
Oh, that's not
21.
section 2. Is that section 2?
of the resolution.
Yeah, I think you're on the resolution, right?
Yes.
Which is
Which is
actually
the
the next
next
item.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. All right, well, way to go. Okay, so that's the next one, so we're not even, so that'd be a change on the next if we approve. Okay, so we're still on, are we all okay with making this one cross-reference document? And then we can decide if we need to change that language.
Sure. Sure.
All right. Any other concerns, comments, or questions as to that specific piece? Because that's what you'll be voting on.
And
The consolidation piece, not any changes to fees or language at this point.
But this is the vote that says we're going to pull itemizing, mentioning what the fee is from every single ordinance.
Correct.
That's what we're voting on this time.
Correct. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, we've got a motion from Councilmember Kell and a second from Councilmember Banks. If there's no other comments, then I would ask the clerk to take the vote.
Okay, and Mayor, you did not vote on this?
I do not vote, no.
Okay, so Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
and then are you able to vote? Councilmember Hill, you got it, all right. Okay, we have 6 yes with Councilmember Hiller voting no, the motion carries.
All right, with that, we will move on to action item D. If the clerk will please read.
D is discussion with possible action of a resolution introduced by City Manager Dr. Robert Perez establishing the City of Topeka's fee schedule for various fees and charges for permits, licenses, and services.
All right. City Manager.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Josh to walk us through this item as well, if there's any other questions. Yeah.
So kind of like we said in the previous conversation, this is where we could talk about and get feedback on any price changes that we'd want, that the council wants to make in that document, the comprehensive document. So I know there's some discussions on it, but that's what this would be voting on, is the actual price amounts in that proposed fee section.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I received several phone calls on the burning permit. So I had a gentleman that called me that says, I clean up a park that is not the city's, the city won't take it, and the county won't take it, and so some volunteers do it, and I'm not paying this fee because I already cleaned up this park and I burn. That's one instance. I can understand that. He's volunteering, and we're asking him to pay a fee for burning. So then I looked around my district. In my district, there is a lot of burning. And if this passes, what I was told is they're not going to get these permits. What they're going to do is they're going to illegally burn. That's what's going to happen, which they already are. People in my district, low to moderate income people, they don't have the means, the trucks to get it there to where it's going, and they can't afford to pay it. So they just burn a pile. They're used to doing it, blah, 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 blah. I would like to, I'd like to go back to the no charge on this, so that people will be able to burn. And then also, I talked to our Assistant Fire Marshal, Mr. Dylan Smith, and he reached out to Garrick. And we used to get free dump days. Well, those days are gone. They advise that there is no longer a free schedule and that the emergency free days or following a storm are between Travis with the City of Topeka and Garrick. So those are gone. We've had some cleanups like that as well. Personally, I don't burn, I don't like to burn, I don't like to smoke, but my neighbor burns, so I take all my stuff to my neighbor, and he burns it for me. God bless his soul. But sometimes those branches are so big, or I break them up and put them in the trash, and even the trash man, they want to make sure that it's broke down. So I would like to make a motion that we reverse or take that fee out,
You can take it out or reduce it to zero.
reduce it to zero, whatever you want to do, but take it out.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Hiller seconds that. All right, so we are on the motion to discuss whether or not we want to reduce the burn fee permit from $25 to zero. Any questions or comments from the governing body on the motion? None? Specific to the motion.
Well, we're not going to talk about burn fee anymore on this point, then yes.
Yeah, this is just, we're all just on this motion, then we'll go back to the, the ordinance.
I would like to see something done with maybe looking at burning, because there are neighborhoods that people burn in that it's becomes very unsafe very quickly. I think we need to look at it.
That's the difference. He's real nice, but he's always good person.
Councilman Miller.
He's got it.
Okay, sorry. Some of the neighborhoods are so tight-knit, house, structures, it's unsafe, or it's been dry for a month. I've burned before in the past. I would do it again with this zero fee, but some people just burn right out in the open. I have a grill, I put it all in the grill, and that's especially what the firefighters have told me in the past, is as long as, you try to have a confined space, that's what you need to be doing. But some people aren't gonna do that. They're just gonna put a pile in their yard, set it on fire. It could not rain for a month. So I still think we need to have something out there where people can call in and see, or even have the fire department look to see what neighborhoods should be or should not be burning, because if it becomes a safety hazard, and then we look at alternatives to help those people get rid of that stuff, because I've gone to the free dump days, I've burned stuff myself, I've taken advantage of those situations, but I just want it to be where we allow someone to burn and actually know 3 houses are gone, and we have people coming to us and saying, why did we let this happen? Why did we not have anything in place? So I'm all for the $0, but I would like to see something in place to ensure safety in this matter, because there's definitely some neighborhoods that it's just way too compact to be burning. And then also, just like how I think as the county puts out no burn days and things like that we need to have that be looked at to make sure we're putting that out also, to make sure that people understand that we're looking at the safety aspect of things in this, and not just saying go free will on it, because we're looking at a big issue here in the future if we just allow people to kind of go with it as they feel like it.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And I might need Dylan's help up here. So Nick and I City Attorney and I were discussing this, and I think that there's already a permit required, right, for any burn period, if it's larger than 3 feet wide by 2 feet high?
Yeah, correct, City Manager.
Right. So anything above that requires a permit, correct?
Yes.
So essentially, by putting a 0 fee, we're not changing that process. There still needs to be a permit for it, right?
Still have to have a permit.
But also too, there's no permit that's required if somebody's burning 3 feet by 2 feet high.
Yes.
And so essentially, we are issuing the burn permits today for anything larger than that. This is essentially trying to recoup some of the fire's time and expenses, because I believe that we also go out, we verify it, to Councilman's point as far as ensuring that it's a safe burn. I mean, fire is still going out and doing that. So if you could add some more clarity.
Yeah, correct. Good evening, Mayor, Council. This definitely is something that is a challenge for our department. It is a little bit taxing on our resources. It was intended more for a cost recovery type. We haven't charged for anything in the past, and so this is all new to us, and definitely want the input and feedback on this. One of the bigger pieces we've talked about is an educational stance, and that's part of that. So people a lot of times will put in for a burn permit and think they're covered. Well, a lot of that's going on after dark. The only thing allowed there would be that recreational burn. So it would have to be that 3 foot by 2 foot limitation. We currently, we respond to each of these as they're called in. We, really try to educate that there's not much we can do until that is called in. And so if people call to complain, we have to tell them that that is going to be up to our officers and personnel in suppression. They will call for an investigator and address it at that point. It is challenging because, they may or may not be aware of past issues, but we do keep a log every year, kind of those close watch neighbors or areas, and try to inform our investigators to make sure that we're, working with them, and then kind of come up with a process or a plan. And if they're not following that, that's when citations can be issued. So yeah, I'd be open to any other questions I'd help to answer.
Councilmember Banks?
Thank you, Mayor. My concerns were if we were directing our motion towards the information that you just gave us for the required 3 feet by 2 feet information. And I think it's very helpful for the public to know that their charge is going to have to be bigger than that. I'm all for taking it to a zero charge because I've gotten those phone calls also, but as long as they know that they have some parameters that they can stay within. So, thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments or questions on the motion? All right, as a reminder, we have a motion from Councilmember Ortiz and a second from Councilmember Hiller. Ortiz, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our fire department does a good job, and I get it. Eventually, we're going to have to start climbing the ladder. Maybe we start low and then go up. And I know Councilman Cal was worried about his neighbors and living together and all that. And this is a perfect time to get that smoke alarm, that free smoke alarm. It's a perfect time to help our guys out while you're getting that burn permit. When you're down there, get that free smoke alarm to help those guys, especially if your neighbor's property is small, Brett. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, Councilmember Bradbury.
Yeah, the question I had was the fee, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, is for a burn that's larger than 3 by 2. Is that going to be publicized somewhere?
I believe
so
it.
People would
City Manager.
know that?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bradbury, yes, after tonight, depending upon how everything goes, the intent is, at least from my perspective, the intent is we start publicizing this. I'd probably give it to the beginning of February to actually start it, but over the next couple of weeks, the intent will be to share this and disseminate this information. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Hiller.
Well, I'm aware that Dan has already been putting together a calendar for education about these kinds of things for the year, and the burn permits is right up at the front end of it, unless that changes, it's already on deck. The other thing I wanted to follow up with is that I like the zero, particularly as we're putting vegetation into active enforcement with property maintenance code. And we've had some conversation back and forth. I appreciate that, as I understand it, that education not just will be, this is where your fire needs to be, but how to, whether you should be burning various things like noxious vines or drying out your wood, not doing it when it's fresh green and so on. So that process of just educating people of how to manage that vegetation when they're clearing, it's going to be part of not only the public education, I think, but also your guys do that one-on-one when you're there. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilwoman Hiller. We do that, but we also believe there is a little bit, beyond our scope. Even when you look at woody vegetation, that kind of thing, and the treatments, we're not qualified, to be giving the advice on herbicides. But we do think that is out there and available. We want to promote that, but that's something more of an educational piece. We can direct them to the right area for that expertise, because that is something that we see. Continually go to these locations, and it becomes a problem, and continues to be that way if they don't address it.
Well, thank you. So maybe we need to add some of that into our educational materials, or property maintenance should, if they're the ones who are working on the vegetation, I know they've developed at least some materials, but also go out of our way to include that in public education.
You bet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so a reminder, the motion is to reduce the fee, proposed fee from $25 to $0 for the burn permit. And with that, I will ask the city clerk to take our vote.
All right, Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradbury, there we go. Okay, we have 7 yes with Councilmember Bradbury voting no. The motion carries.
All right, we are back on the resolution. Comments or questions on other issues? I have an amendment. We'll see if this solves Councilmember Hiller's concern. That in section 2, on line 20, we would strike review annually, and we would add when requested, and keep it by the governing body or staff. That would make sure it doesn't have to come up unless we need to discuss it one way or the other. So does that make sense to everybody? So it'd still be when requested by. So that would be my motion.
I'll second that.
A second by Councilmember Kell. Any comments, questions, or concerns on that motion?
Hold on just a second.
All right, then with that, I would ask the city clerk to take a vote.
Let me get it out of here. Okay, Mayor Duncan amendment. Okay, we are ready to go. And you made the motion, and who seconded?
Councilmember Kell.
Thank you. All right. Okay, you can vote. And Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Miller.
He's talking.
It's all good. Just pass him over.
Oh, yes, boy.
One more time. Councilmember Miller.
We need to.
All right.
He's absent at this time.
Yes. It's not in there.
Can you hear us, Councilmember Miller?
I do. Sorry about that. It was really loud where I was at.
Are you-
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, we have 8 yes, the motion carries.
All right, we're back on the resolution. Councilmember Ortiz.
I have a question on, I've received some calls on the commercial building permit fee. So we went from several amounts to no charge. What was the thought process behind that? Are we trying to get people to come and build, or, I mean, to me,
It's no change.
it's no change, I'm sorry.
No charge.
Okay.
I heard that too.
Okay, that's one, so no change, okay. What about, was that the alarm? Is that the same thing, no change? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'll get new glasses then.
Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Put your glasses on.
When we started this discussion tonight, we were talking about some of those phone calls that we've been getting. I've gotten phone calls not just about burn permits, but one company that does demolitions for the city was talking about how those fees have increased, maybe doubled or even 75%. And I just like to say that not only are we going to get the calls about burn permits, we're going to get those kinds of calls too. And I'm wondering, we can't just take all the fees out. So what do we do when we get a call like that, Josh? I mean,
Ultimately, that's a policy decision set by the governing body and the city manager, so I can't really answer that question.
okay. City manager?
So, I mean, and looking at the fee schedule, if we're talking about demolitions, the actual cost of the contractor.
For dump fees and.
For dump?
Yeah. When they take the demolished materials to the dump.
That's not this.
We do not control dump fees. That's
Okay,
Waste Management.
I know we don't control it, but how do we decide what those fees are gonna be then? Because that's what they're talking about is, all their fees combined. I mean, the dump is just one of those fees.
Right.
Mr. Copley?
Councilmember, a couple of points. First is that we don't set the tipping fees at the dump.
Okay.
The dumps are privately owned. So Waste Management owns the big one up on 75 Highway,
Yeah,
and then there's
that's what I'm
the
talking
local
about.
one. So city has absolutely no control over that. Those are set by third parties.
Okay.
So that would be the response to the constituent. I will tell you just the overarching policy is staff had to make some really hard decisions last year as part of the budget, and one of those was to look selectively at various fees and charges that we have, and to have slight increases across the board on many of those to help make up some of that shortfall that we were looking at in terms of our operating budget. And so those are very difficult decisions that we made in the recommendation. And as the city manager had started this conversation off, truly what we're doing here is passing the ordinances relating to those fees and charges that are helping to help fill that gap, or part of that gap that we had in terms of our operating budget, in terms of our expenses exceeding our revenues. So those would be the talking points, sir, that I would use in terms of when the constituents call.
Thank you, Braxton. Thank you, man.
I'll also add, Councilman Banks, and I don't know that it's applying to the fees you're talking about, but some of the fees on this look like they doubled, and actually they've gone to 2-year permits and fees, and so there was a few I got calls about, and I just say, we actually didn't raise it, we're just making it a 2-year, and then they said, oh, so I don't know if it applies to those, but I will tell people, when you look at it at first, you don't realize that until you realize some of these have gone to 2 years, and so we didn't actually double those fees, we just made it a 2-year fee, so. Councilmember Kell.
And some of the, yeah, I was going to bring that up, the 2 years on that, and then also some of it was this, I remember when we first started talking about this, was just getting the fee to cover the cost of the employee to do the work. Because if someone was doing an hour's worth of work on something, and we're charging $5 for it, but we're paying the employee $15, you know, we need to kind of balance that out a little bit more to cover our cost of our employee to do the work of filing or doing whatever they had to do on that. So, it's been a while, if I remember right, it's been a while since we did any major changes to the fee schedule across the board. So some of these are just looking at it and making it a little bit more common sense on the 2 years. So we're not putting the burden on our staff or the expectation on our people that are getting their licenses to constantly feel like they're going to be here to renew their license by going out to that 2-year period, but also also trying to be able to recoup our costs a little bit. If we're doing, you know, $15, 15 person hours, we're not charging $5 for that $15 increment, so.
Councilmember Hiller.
I had wanted to make a comment for the record and to the staff on that, along the lines of what Councilman Kell just talked about. We have a number of charges in here that are current labor rate. And I would caution, we went through this a few years ago where the city staff was, when they looked at an hourly rate, you know, if somebody was on site for 15 minutes and they were making $20 an hour, the charge was $5. Our cost for labor is far more than that. When you look at our salaries and fringes, and the fact that when you really are looking at a labor rate, what we call fully loaded in some management circles, then you're paying for the planning time, the truck, the computer, the equipment, the training, the travel to the site, the travel back from the site, the travel to the dump, and we are grossly undercharging here. I mean, in simple terms, we did this, what, Braxton, 25 years ago on code compliance was one of the first times people had walked through it, and in simple terms, for somebody who's making $20 an hour, it costs, most of our employees, in simple terms, you could say, are worth $100 an hour. It's costing us $100 an hour to have them on the street. And so when we look at $30s and so on that are here, or the places where it says current labor rate, I would suggest that those deserve a look. And in some cases, those are in permitting, but in other cases, it's when we're doing abatements and things like that, and we're sending out people to mow or clean up properties. And one of the things we've run into, for instance, with mowing, when we go out on code, we'll generally probably not write somebody up more than twice a year. So whereas what we're trying to do is set up a system where they're mowing every time it's 6 inches or all, we've got a 12-inch limit, we want them to mow regularly and take care of the property. And instead, we wait until it gets really tall, and then we go in there and mow it and keep it really cheap. For us to go mow it twice a year might be substantially less than if they paid somebody else to do it. So we end up being the ones who are taking care of the sanitation cleanups and the mowing on some properties, just as an example. So again, not suggesting any specifics tonight, but I really would suggest that we look at how we calculate our labor rates moving forward, and then relook at some of those charges. Again, we can amend them at any time. We were at that point very much when we had a natural disaster and we were billing for FEMA reimbursement. We were also really minimizing what we were asking for. I think we've been allowed to go higher than that, but that's big money. It adds up. So, thank you.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you. Go with me to page 8. At the bottom, there's tires, and they're $2 each without rims. Where do we get that figure? I mean, if I go to Harold's, I'm paying more than that. So of course, maybe that's why we have so many tires in our neighborhoods.
I would have to reach out to John Chardine on that. I'm assuming that's under the property maintenance section at the top. I would need to ping John on that.
I think we need to change that.
Councilmember, if I may, on that one. So that the proposed fee, the current fee, or what it was, for tires is $2 each without rims, and then $5 each without rims. And the proposed change to that is that we change that from that $2 and $5 to the actual incurred charges. So whatever it costs us to dispose of it,
Okay.
that's what the
That's what you mean?
change is. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'm gonna start bringing my tires home too. Seriously, I was going down my street today. There's 10 tires on my street. These people are dumping like crazy. And I hate that, code will go by and pick them up. And now they're starting to know that. So we've got to do something about that. So I appreciate that. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
All right, I have no one else who's indicated they'd like to speak or have any comments or questions. So if that's the case, I would entertain a motion, or not, I guess. I have a motion from Councilmember Kell.
I'll second that.
Second from Councilmember Miller. Got it. All right, any final comments before we take a vote? All right, with that, I would ask the clerk to take a vote.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Okay, we have 8 yes, the motion carries.
Assuming I have the correct agenda, here, nothing
Yeah.
for discussion, so we will move on to public comment. With that, I have one individual signed up to speak, and that's Gretchen Eichmann. Gretchen Eichmann, are you here this evening? Last chance, Miss Eichmann. All right, with that, we will move on from public comment. We will start with announcements. City Clerk.
Okay, for the January 20th agenda, we have one proclamation for Young Professionals Day. The consent agenda, we have an expenditure ordinance and a professional services contract with, it looks like it's a legal professional services contract. Action items include a partial assignment development agreement with Wanamaker Hills CID. We have the election of the MTPO policy board members, and then the election of the JETO board members. And that's it.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing for me this evening.
All right, Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you. Nick, before Amanda left, I asked her to work on the JADO board members, that we could do it at the beginning of the first meeting. I guess she didn't get that done. Because it seems like redundant, you know, like we're doing the deputy mayor. We used to do it all at one time, and then we started spacing it out. And I thought she was going to fix that. Can you check on that?
Yeah, sure. So like at the first of the year, like the first meeting of the year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like before we do all the committee stuff.
Right, okay.
You know, we vote on deputy mayor, JADO, yeah. So I don't even know how that got lost in the shuffle, but we used to do it all at one time.
Okay.
Okay, can you check on that for me?
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to say, last week, I forgot to thank my campaign team, and they let me know it, so. I did take them a little card, thank you card with a little something, something in it, but I have a very good campaign team. They love to get out there, and they love that competition, so it's always exciting, and they're always waiting on me, but they know who they are, and I just wanted to thank them as well. Charge it to my head and not my heart. It was just kind of a crazy night. Again, if you don't have, and I heard somebody moved out of the neighborhood, if you don't have those smoke detectors, give me a call, give the mayor a call, he's not doing nothing, give him a call, get one of those applications. Love your family enough to put those in. They're 10 years. Where's my chief at? Chief, can you come and talk to them about these free smoke detectors? Yeah, I do, my chief. Can you tell them what they are? They're not listening to me. Tell them what they get.
Go ahead,
They
Chief.
get a smoke detector and 3 firemen to put them up.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great?
10 years?
10 year.
You have to change the batteries?
life. Yep.
You have to change the batteries?
They're 10-year batteries. And we will change the batteries if they need to.
Okay. And if you don't want the guys out, request the chief and he'll come out and even help them, so.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate that, but
Thanks.
we want to help them as it's getting colder and make sure that we get all of those. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Banks.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Kell.
Just want to remind everyone, take a look at the schedules for when the Citizens Academy starts. We have 3 great Citizens Academies. We have the fire, police, and the utility and public works. I've been through 2 of them. They're amazing. And then the other thing was, I got to cross something off my bucket list. I didn't even know it was on my bucket list. I got to paint the ice at the Expo Center. The Topeka Scarecrows and the Stormont Vale Event Center put out a call for some people to help out paint the logos on the ice, and that is something that was really fun to do and something I'll never do again. I was so sore the next day from trying to sprawl across there to try not to touch the paint, but also paint the areas I needed to reach. So that was something that was really fun, and just try to keep your ear out in the community. There's always certain things that are going on like that you can be a part of, and it's really fun to sit there now. And this next weekend, I can go and say, look at the ice and like, okay, that looks really messed up, but it was just really fun to experience something like that, and now say I was a part of something like that here in Topeka. So I appreciate that they opened that up to the public to get involved in.
Is Councilmember Miller still online?
I am.
Oh, okay. I don't see on my screen. All right. Any announcements?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I'm not on screen as I'm in the car right now, and that's irresponsible to do. But I just wanted to say I appreciate the constituents who reached out and asked about me missing some meetings in person, and I appreciate the concern. during basketball season when I'm coaching, and I just left Sports Zone with my son's game. Those things will come first during that time, but I will attend everything else as much as I can. So I want to let them know I appreciate their thoughts on that. And also, Topeka High, we heading over to beat the brakes off of Hayden right now. So hoy hoy mighty Troy.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Bradbury. Councilmember Hofer.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hiller.
Just wanted to remind everybody that the upcoming weekend has a lot of activities, and Monday for the Martin Luther King holiday, and encourage people to, I won't be able to list them all, but there's a banquet that the Living the Dream folks do on Saturday night. There are events that the Center for Peace and Justice and many others are putting together starting already actually, but certainly through the weekend, and appreciate all the effort that everybody puts into those, and encourage people to look them up and attend. That's it.
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody that the Council District 8 seat is officially something you can apply for. Do you know the last day they can apply? Put you on the spot there, City Clerk.
Yep, January 26th at 5 o'clock.
All right, so you have from now until January 26th at 5 o'clock. It's online. You just got to go to the topeka.org website. It's right there. As a reminder for those who, this is not exact, but you can look up your address. It's basically between 21st Street and 29th Street, and then Gage Boulevard all the way out to the county line. So if you are interested in that seat, you've got 2 weeks to get it filled in, and then the first week of February, we'll start interviewing you, and by the second week, we'll have somebody sitting in that chair. So please don't miss out on that opportunity if it's one you'd like to take us up on. With that, we have 2 executive sessions this evening. If the interim city attorney would state the motion for the first session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion would be to recess into executive session not to exceed 60 minutes to give legal advice and discuss cases currently in litigation or the potential for litigation and other matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client privilege as allowed under KSA 75-4319B2. The open meeting will resume in this room in the governing body chambers. The following staff will be necessary to assist the governing body in its deliberations: the interim city attorney, the chief of police, and other staff members as needed.
All right. I will make a motion to move to executive session. Councilmember Kell has a second. I guess all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
With that, we will recess for 12 minutes. So be back here at 7:20 and we will have executive session. I could say 10, but we just know it'll really be 12. All right, we have a need to extend our executive session by 30 minutes. City Attorney, do you want to read? Whatever you need to read?
Sure. The motion would be to extend the current executive session not to exceed 30 minutes to give legal advice and discuss cases currently in litigation or the potential for litigation and other matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client privileged as allowed under KSA 75-4319B2. The open meeting will resume in this room in the governing body chambers. The following staff will be necessary to assist the governing body: the interim city attorney, the chief of police, and other staff members as needed.
All right, I will move to extend. Do I have a second?
Sure.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Nay. All right, 1 no. All right, with that, we are headed back into executive session. Thank you. We're live. All right. We've reconvened the meeting and are back in open session. No action was taken after that executive session, but we do have a need for a second executive session. So if the interim city attorney would read what he needs to read.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion would be to recess into executive session for a time not to exceed 45 minutes to discuss personnel matters involving individual employees as allowed under KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting will resume in this room in the City Council chambers. The following individuals will be necessary to aid the governing body in its discussion: the city manager, the human resources director, and any other staff members as needed.
No, 10 o'clock, so we're good. Yes. All right, I will move to go into executive session. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. We We are in executive session. Good. All right, we have reconvened the meeting and are now back in open session with no action being taken by the governing body during the executive session. This meeting is adjourned.